when I first started getting into the world of self-help, I got into it hard. I can't remember exactly why I got into it in the first place, but it was something along the lines of my life is dull. I want it to be better. I want to be better. I started reading for hours every day. My YouTube watch list started filling up. I was getting interested in so many new things, interested in journaling, meditation, cold showers, nofap, you name it. I was religiously watching content people like Jordan Peterson, Jordan Shanks, David Hammond, Casey Zander. I read books like How to Win Friends, The Way of the Superior Man, The Obstacle is the Way. As someone who'd spent a lot of years moping about their lot in life, about how I was socially awkward, about how I had little confidence, I had next to no gain, self-help was this shot of adrenaline, dragged me out of that haze into a sharper and clearer reality, where I was empowered to choose my destiny. This content made me wake up alert, and it made me excited to learn. It made me plan out my day to the minute. It allowed me to feel alive. Self-help saved me from my pit of despair and subconscious existence. But nothing is perfect, and all good things have to come to an end. What do I mean by this? I mean that whilst helping me to fully understand that the only person capable and willing to help me is me, and restructuring my day-to-day to begin working towards greater goals has changed my life for the better, there's only so far the self-help resources will take you before you need to take a step yourself. There's a couple of videos that I watched recently. I'll link them down below, along with all the other stuff I mentioned. I brought an idea that had been at the back of my mind for about a week or so into sharp focus. The idea that in order to fully progress and grow as a person, you have to take actual action in the real world, especially where it's uncomfortable and especially outside your comfort zone. I'd get to fully appreciate what I wanted, what my goals were, what my mission was, and I hadn't yet taken the time to be alone, to have peace and quiet, to just ponder and meditate over where I wanted to plant my flag in life. I'd yet to come up with a concrete plan of action that would, step by step, bring my vision of what I wanted and who I wanted to be into reality. I had to step back. I had to take all the self-help knowledge that I had accrued and apply it to reality over time and figure out where my edge was at that moment so I could go over it. The reason I'm talking about self-help in this way is that if you only ever read about taking action and you never observably and consistently apply it, you've not really grown at all, have you? But by reading about the concept of progress and about living a better life, you can trick yourself into thinking that you've made growth more than you actually have. You've taken the first step, and your subconscious has gone, that's probably enough work for one day. So it's time to put my feet up. You can relax now. You've done work, but now you're back to square one. You're overindulging yourself with too much of a good thing. And so there was a previous video I was talking about where TV in particular, it sort of dulls critical thinking because it orders your brain in such a way that it's not having to put in the work itself, but it still feels like you've done something. You can get tired, or you can get exhausted by watching the TV, but your brain's only having to put in the minimum effort required, instead of perhaps reading a book and having to imagine, actually perceive all these concepts in your head. You translate these words into ideas. It's a lot easier to have images into ideas. Do you get what I'm meaning? Now, I'm just going to say first off, I don't know a lot about how the self-help industry works, and I don't know anything about the industry as a whole being set up to be intentionally deceptive or exploitative, in the sense that it understands that the people involved are consciously designing and creating content to keep people stuck, but the concept itself makes sense. It's just like anything. If people get a dopamine spike and are willing to come back for more, and if you can make your product to be as addictive as possible, it's in your best interest, profit-wise, to keep the wheels of the big machine turning in such a way to keep your customers from going elsewhere. There doesn't even need to be malicious intent behind it. If you're just if you're just wanting to make a profit, then these things they naturally happen. Coca-Cola wants to make a profit, so of course they're going to plaster adverts everywhere, even if this may lead to people overindulging. It's not necessarily a problem with the company. It can be a combination of the consumers not fully understanding the risks or responsibilities they have to take, and a corporation that doesn't understand, or perhaps doesn't want to understand, the responsibilities that they have to their customers to help them appreciate what steps they should be taking to live a balanced and healthy life. I think I also mentioned in that the television video or the happiness video about how they become stuck in habits that they don't even necessarily mean or want to be stuck in. Specifically, I'm referencing how by not controlling what you expose your mind to during your leisure time, you can waste away. If anything, becoming stuck in this loop of self-help is even worse because you went out of your way to improve your life, but you ended up just as much of an NPC as everyone else. But you're one that's filled with a sort of a misplaced sense of righteousness, which everybody else is going to hate, especially if it's not true. Because you're thinking, yeah, I'm better than all of you. I think I'm not sure. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get motivated. I'm going to find out why I'm better. You know, that is not going to help you in the real world, where people can be a bit slighted. Not only if they feel weak, but if you're trying to make them feel weak and you don't see how you're weak yourself. I said that this whole idea had been in the back of my mind because the best people I've listened to have emphasized that their videos and the self-help community as a whole only goes so far, and that sooner or later you're going to need to leave them behind and go into the real world. You're a little baby bird. So eventually he's gotta leave the nest, and yeah, it's a little hard to leave the nest at a time when everyone is being encouraged not to leave the nest and listening and help it. But there's still little things you can do. And after the whole pandemic is blown over and we go back to normal, then there'll be no excuse. So myself, for example, I've been trying to work on my social confidence a lot more. I have trouble introducing myself to new people in particular. I'm all right once I get to know them. It's just getting comfortable enough with them so that then I can unload all this deeper stuff onto them without thinking I'm absolutely mental. you know, um, Obviously I don't have things like my Kaylee dancing that I can use to meet people anymore, but I can still try to even just little things during the day. Just try to strike up conversations with the people working at the supermarkets. Even just something as simple as trying to sort of maintain eye contact with people when you're talking to them. And so even these times where we're somewhat restricted with what we can do, there's still things you can do, and I encourage you to take as much action as you can in the pursuit of your goals. The thing about confidence in particular is that it's a byproduct of your overall wellness, and how you subconsciously feel you're doing. I mean, you can practice affirmations and mantras all you want about how you're confident, but if you still haven't accomplished that little goal you set for yourself, deep down you're not any better. Now, I get that can be hard for people who have mental health issues to the point where they need professional help to slowly drag them back to reality, because no matter what steps they take, they never feel that they're enough. Like, I can understand there's those people, but for most people, low confidence is just it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you can't escape, but you need to decide to do something big in order to shake things up and sort of shake yourself out of this mindset that you've allowed yourself over time to become sort of trapped in. I'm sure there was the things don't happen in a vacuum. Maybe you had somebody in your life at one point who just told you to just shut up, and now you're wrong every time you open your mouth. And of course now you're just going to apply that to all walks of life. But it's important to, first of all, identify your problems. Second of all, to identify why you have those specific mindsets about yourself, why you have those beliefs about yourself, and from there you can figure out whether they're actual characteristics about you that you need to change, or if it was just somebody's opinion, which you shouldn't take too much notice of. But it's important to definitely identify why you have these issues in your life that you're trying to get rid of. My point is that you can't always get these from self-help literature. Sometimes you just need to go away and be with yourself in order to think these very personal things through. The overall point that I'm trying to make is that self-help is great for just getting you going. It's great for expanding your mind to where you could be going in life, and it gives you an initial plan to get there. But sooner or later, if you're truly committed to its practices, you need to go forth into the real world. You're better motivated and equipped to succeed where you previously failed. Like, I know it's hard and it's awkward to try to change the status quo, but the obstacle is the way. It's not self-help unless the self is measurably improved by the help. There's even a risk of, if you're on the agreeable side, to getting into walks of life, but maybe day trading or masterclasses that you only do because the charismatic guru in your YouTube ad is telling you it's a step to a new life. If they're charismatic and confident enough, which is usually in the case, it can be hard to not to get swept up in the pitch and pull out your wallet. Once you're invested in the scheme and you spend more time in this echo chamber with your guru and his buddies, he's telling you a whole new way to live your life if you only do this, this, and this. And if you didn't do it, then it's your fault that you're not taking full advantage of this program. It could be hard to admit defeat or admit that you were scammed. I mean, because after all, who wants to look like a failure and admit that the whole enterprise, that your happiness and hope of a new, brighter life has been riding on was all a scam? It's important to leave your comfort zone, but you must do it in a somewhat controlled manner. Don't get in over your head. Don't invest in or preach about things you don't understand. That's very important. And make sure you take the time regularly to reflect on your choices and if they're really what's right for you. Financial freedom may be your end goal, but there are many ways to get there. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you didn't really help yourself in the first place. What I think, and what I've heard a lot from other people, is that sort of true happiness is found in the journey to your goals, not in the goals themselves. I mean, you can find satisfaction once you've achieved them, but you won't stay eternally happy. There won't be happily ever after. So if you're not happy with the way, with the journey, then it's all sort of for nothing. The way will suck a lot, but if it always and only sucks, it's not the right way. The main points I hope you go away with today are: self-help is a great starting point, but at some point you need to grow beyond it and put yourself into the world, into reality, to sort of flex your positivity muscles. Self-help can be unhealthy if that's all you practice, or if you go down certain rabbit holes. And finally, you need to, once you go into the world, you need to find your own way, despite what the self-help books have told you, because they can't tailor for everyone. So it's good to keep on reflecting once you're back into the real world and connect with reality on a regular basis in order to figure out what paths are going to help you the most to feel the happiest in your life. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope I've managed to illuminate why you feel you're going around in circles, potentially with regards to self-help, if this applies to you. Definitely look into the resources I mentioned if you're somewhat new to this area. I'll leave them all in the description. Just bear in mind that they're the start and not the end of your journey. If there's anything you thought of that expands on what I've said, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm on this path just as much as you, and I'm sure your take will be different, but no less relevant than mine. And I'm always open to having my mind changed. So, until next time, keep growing.